Okay, welcome everyone. This is our newest webinar at Cubics, and I'm Adam, and I will be your host today. And today we are going to talk about the Python language and the Pandas library. We're going to give you a sneak peek into how Python Pandas can improve your data analysis skills and make you a more effective data analyst or scientist. My helping hand there and our guest is Szabolcs Jobbágy, who's going to be demonstrating this whole topic today with a live demo. A whole project is going to be represented. And just a small few words about Szabolcs. He's a Microsoft Excel, Visual Basic, and Power BI expert and the computer time efficiency trainer. He's been working with Excel and Access databases for more than 20 years, and he's been programming with Visual Basic, Python, SQL, and JavaScript for more than 12 years. And just a short side note, why are we doing this webinar today? Because at Cubics, beside that we are organizing expert mentored online trainings, we believe in knowledge sharing. So that's why we organize these free webinars where you can gather some news about hot topics and most trending technologies and such things. So if you are curious about any kind of these webinars, please don't forget to follow our channels, YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn even, because we're going to come each week with new topics and webinars. So I think we can jump into the topic right now. And I'm going to ask Szabolcs to help me just to put it in context what we're going to see. Like, I think many people know what is Python. It's actually a programming language, but with this special library with Pandas, what can we do? What is it all about? I leave it to you, please. Explain it.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Python is a very speedy, so fast developing language, and it's multifunctional, multi-purpose language. So it can be used for web development. So, for example, the backend of a web application or web page, and it can be used for data science. It can be used for big data, or it can be used for artificial intelligence as well. So very popular, one of the most popular programming languages. And it's very easy. It's very easy. So if somebody wants to start programming, I recommend either Visual Basic or the Python. So these are the easiest, most simple programming languages. I'm coming from the Excel world, and I think many of you are coming from the Excel world. So I had lots of Excel tables, lots of pivot tables and charts and so on. And sometimes we have more and more data. So we have now millions of rows in a table. So in an Excel sheet, an Excel table, Excel sheet, it's only 1 million rows. Okay, 1,048,000 something rows. And it's not enough. So many times it's not enough. Many times we have 2 million or 3 million or 5 or 50 million rows of the table. So we can use, for example, SQL database. So we can store the data in an SQL database and also in CSV files or TXT files. And when you want to work with these data, like many millions of rows, a CSV file or TXT or an SQL or from an SQL database, you just export something to CSV, for example. How can you handle it? You cannot put it into Excel. Okay, you can make it little portions, little chunks, and put it in the Excel sheets, but it's not the solution. So that's why the Python is very good. That's why the Python. And as a language, so Python is a language, and for all the languages, there are function libraries. So there are packages of functions, lots of functions in libraries. So Pandas is a library. Pandas is a library, which means lots of functions, lots of methods, okay? Just like the functions are just like the formulas in Excel, okay, like VLOOKUP or other formulas. These are the functions or methods. You can call them methods or functions, and Pandas has lots of extra functions which were created for data analysis, data transformation, data cleaning, and so on. So Pandas is a very good tool for everyone who is a data analyst or data scientist.
Okay, so is it beside or instead of SQL, or are they working together in different projects, or what do you think? Is there a difference in
Yeah, they
different
work.
projects? One is better, the other one is
They
less
kind of
good, or
they work together. They work together. So, for example, if you want to just query, just very simple, create a very simple query from an SQL database, you will use the SQL. You will use the SQL language, and you will simply download or import or query the data, for example, to CSV. Okay, so from the SQL database, you export the data to CSV, and then you can import these data from the CSV, for example, into the Pandas or into the Python, and then you can work with it. So for easier queries, SQL is very good. It's very good. But if you have complex queries and if you need to change the data structure, if you need to correct the data, for example, your data are very ugly. They are ill formatted, wrongly formatted, and you want to clean the data, you want to change the structure, transpose the data, and so on, then Pandas is a very good solution next to or besides the SQL. So they can work together very well.
and that's what we're gonna see right now, how we can
Yes,
clean and
yes,
transform and this
yes,
data,
yes,
and how
yes.
can we make.
Yes,
Okay,
I
then
will
and
show you. I will show you a nice CSV file, which is very ugly, very wrongly formatted. All the columns will be problematic, and we will change. We will fix the columns. We will change the data. We will clean the data, and then in the end, we will export it to another CSV file.
okay, then I'm gonna let you show this and leave you enough time, because I think that's gonna be more interesting to see it in practice. Just a technical information. This broadcast is live right now. You can ask anything, anytime, and we're gonna discuss. We're gonna answer any questions you're gonna propose meanwhile. So don't keep it in yourself. And we're gonna leave a small Q&A session at the end of this this webinar. So we're gonna answer every question, and this is gonna be recorded. So if you cannot stay until the end, if you would like to try the same what Sabo is gonna show us, you're gonna be able to do this, and you're gonna find this recording on our channels. So Saboj, the show is yours now, and I'm gonna go into the background and leave you, and I will come back at the end.
Okay. Okay.
I will have you share your screen, or
Okay.
okay, it's there. Okay, then good luck.
Okay, thank you, thank you. We will use the Anaconda Navigator, which is a very good tool for programming. You can download this program, okay, Anaconda Navigator. If you go to the Google and just Google it, the Anaconda Navigator or Anaconda distribution. This is the Anaconda distribution is a community programming these tools. And the Anaconda Navigator is a very good graphical user interface for programming. And it will contain, so when you download and install the Anaconda Navigator, it will contain lots of working environments, lots of development or programming environments. So you can see, for example, that there are here environments for Python. You can see for Python, there are environments for the R language. okay, the R language, and so on. So you can see here, for example, the R Studio. So several programming languages can be used here. And the Python, so you can program or you can code in Python in several environments. I prefer the Jupyter Notebook. Okay, Jupyter Notebook is a very good environment, development or programming environment, very interactive, very easy to use. So it's amazing. It's like a pleasure. It makes the coding a pleasure. Okay. So if you click on the launch button, then it will launch the Jupyter Notebook, and then you can see the notebook in the web browser. So you can code, you can make your programs in the web browser. There will be a nice folder structure in the web browser, and you can easily. So like I will show you the web structure. So here are folders, and here are the files. All the files have this IPYNB extension. This is the Jupyter Notebook. Okay, this is the extension for the Jupyter Notebook file. So you can add new folders. So here you can add new folder, like clicking on the new button, new folder, and also new notebook. Also new notebook, Python 3, and it will launch a new notebook. There is a question, what is the better tool to use, Jupyter or Spider for ML? I don't use the Spider, I only use the Jupyter, so I cannot give you a good answer, because I don't know the Spider. I know only the Jupyter. So if you open this one, if you open the Jupyter Notebook and you open a file, you will see cells here. You will see cells. And here you can type anything. So for example, you can add, so for example, if you start the line with a hash mark, then it will be a comment. It will be a comment. So all the programming languages have a different symbol for the comments in the beginning of the line. So for example, data cleaning of a CSV file. Okay, so data cleaning of a CSV file. You can add new cells as well. There are lots of shortcuts, lots of very good shortcut keys. So for example, if you press the B, then it will insert a new cell below the active cell. Okay, it will insert a new cell below the active cell. This is B. If you're standing on a cell and press A, it will insert a cell above the active cell. So that's letter A. So there are lots of cool shortcut keys. Letter A inserts a cell above, and letter B inserts a cell below. So very nice. You can delete easily by pressing the D, letter D, twice. So look at that. I want to delete the cell D. So I just press the D twice, the letter D. So letter D twice, it's deleting the cells. So there are lots of shortcut keys. Okay. So you can store data. For example, A equals to 5. Okay. B equals to 4. So these are variables. So these are variables, just like in any programming languages. These can be for storing data in the memory. And Python is very, very cool because you don't need spaces. So if you use like this, it's perfect. Okay, it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter that you use spaces or you don't use spaces. But of course, if you use the space, it will be a little bit longer for you, but it will be more readable. Okay, so it's very important that your code should be readable. How to write out data? It's very nice. You don't need the print, you don't need message box, you don't need console.log as in other languages. Just say A plus B. Look at that, A plus B. So you don't need anything to print something out. How can you run the cell? With the Control Enter. Control Enter. If you run the cell, it will run the operation. So you can see that A plus B equals to 9. So it's very nice. You don't need a print. Of course, there is a print instruction or keyword. There is a print, and inside it, so you need brackets. Okay, so if you want to print like hello world, then you can use print and with round brackets. Okay, round brackets, and you can do the same. Control Enter, and it will do the same. But you don't need that, because you don't need the print. It's very easy to get an output immediately. So when you are creating something, then you get the output immediately. So it's very interactive. So you don't need to type like 10 lines and then run the whole program and then see the final result. You can do it one by one. And then if you insert a new cell, you can go through. Okay. So it's a very, very cool environment, very cool surface, user interface to work with. Okay, let's start with the data cleaning. So at first, I will import the library. If you want to use a library, you just import it. You say import pandas, and after you imported it, in the pandas there will be functions, and you need to type like pandas dot and something, pandas dot something. So this way the pandas will be very long. So you can give an alias. Okay, you can give an alias that import pandas as PD. So next time I want to use any functions, then I just say PD dot and the function name. So it's very short. It's much shorter than writing pandas every time. So it's very nice that you can add aliases. I will insert some new cells, B, letter B. So the next one, I will type my folder, my main folder. So I will put a new variable like main folder, and you can see that here, this is the path for my folder. So you can see the path for my folder. So this is my folder. This is my folder in my file explorer. So you can see that this is the folder path. But in Python, the backslash is a special character. A backslash is a special character. So after you say, put a backslash, and then you can give an N, and this will be a line break. You can give a backslash 2, this would be a tab, and so on and so on. So the backslash is an extra character. So if you want this one, then you have to use the double backslash. Okay, the double backslash. Okay, so because after the backslash, we don't use an N now, we don't use T, but we use the backslash. So this is the normal backslash for a folder. But if you don't want to do this, so if you are lazy, then you can type an R, a letter R, and you don't need the double backslash. You can use the normal backslash with a little r, okay? So little letter R before the folder. By the way, when you use when you want to give strings, okay, strings, texts, you can use the apostrophe, so the single quote like this, or you can use the double quote as well. It doesn't matter. So another cool thing about Python, you can use the single quote, you can use the double quote. Okay, you can use the apostrophe, you can use the quotation mark. Okay. I hope everybody is hearing us. Okay, so you can use apostrophe, you can use quotation mark, doesn't matter. Okay, next one. I will give the input file's name. I will give my input file's name. This will be source1.csv. So here you can see that in this folder, there is an input folder, subfolder, and an output subfolder. If I go into the input subfolder, you can see that there is a source1 and source2 CSV. Let's clean the source1 CSV. Okay, source one CSV in the input folder. So how to read the data? How to read the data? To read the data from a CSV file, the Pandas libraries read CSV function or read CSV method. Okay, so this is the library PD, like the Pandas, dot, and the function or method, like the formula in Excel. And then these are the parameters here. These are the parameters here. Okay, so if I don't use the alias here, the PD, then I needed, I would have written here pandas.read CSV. Okay, and you can see that in the main folder, I will put the input subfolder. You can see I use the double backslash here now, and the input file name. So this is the main folder, and this is the input file name. This is how I concatenate it. This is how I put together. So you can use the plus sign to putting text together. You can use plus sign for concatenating texts. Okay. In other languages, there is, for example, the and sign or other signs, but the plus is very nice. So if you are using plus for numbers, it will add the numbers or sum up the numbers, just like here, the first example. But if you use the plus sign for texts, it will concatenate. It will put the texts after each other. Okay, so first text and the second, like a string, like a concatenating. Okay, and if I want to, and what is a data frame? Data frame is a two-dimensional structure. A two-dimensional structure like a table. Like a table, there will be columns and there will be rows. So what is a table in the Excel is it's data frame in Python, okay, or in the Python's Pandas library. So for the Pandas library, the table, the two-dimensional structure is a data frame. Many times we just use the DF. So I will print out the DF. Okay, so I can run these cells by clicking on the cells and Control Enter, Control Enter, Control Enter, Control Enter. But how can I run all of them? I stand here on this cell, this empty cell, and here in the cell, there is Run All Above. So you can see in the cell menu, Run All, it will run all the cells. Run All Above, that means it will run all the cells above the active cell. And Run All Below, that means runs all the cells below the active cell. So now it doesn't matter if it's Run All or Run All Above, we can use any of them, and look at that. And it will read the CSV file. It will read the CSV file. I will show you the original CSV file here. Look at that. This is the original CSV file. Oh, this is a mess. This is a mess. This is so ugly. You can see that in the salesperson column, the starting letters are not always capitalized. Phew, that's ugly. Also, in the customer column, you can see there are extra spaces. I think you also have you also meet this kind of problem in your database is the extra spaces. Oh, there are extra spaces before the customer and between the words and also after the words. Oh my God. And also in the description, you can see that there is a product name and there is a date, and it's in the description. So it's in the same column, but separated by a slash sign. So how can I fix these? How can I fix these columns? So look at that. The read CSV just reads the CSV, and look at that. The description is like this, okay? Salesperson is like this, and look at the customer. It's like it's automatically fixing it. No, unfortunately not. This is just the HTML. This is just the HTML of the web page. So it will. So in the newer web browsers, the HTML just skips the extra spaces. Okay, it doesn't show the extra spaces, but I will show you how can I see this. So, for example, if I say look at the data frames customer column. Data frames customer column is like this. df, this is the data frame, square brackets, and between the square brackets, you should put the column name in quotation marks or apostrophes, single quotes or double quotes. This is the customer column. Look at that. If I write it out, it will write the customer column out. Okay, this is the customer column. It will start the first 5 rows and the last 5 rows, and between them, it's just a dot, dot, dot. So, and if I want to put a 0, that means, this means the first row of this column. This will be very funny, or this will be very odd for the first time. In Python, the indexes start with 0. Okay, in many programming languages is the same. It starts with 0. So the first element is not 1, but it's 0. So that is this one, this value here. In the customer column, the first row's value, that means row 0. Okay, so it's very, very funny, but you get used to it. You will get used to it when you are working with Python, that the first row is 0. So the index always starts with a 0. So you can see that there are the extra spaces here. You can see that there are the extra spaces before the text and between the words and also in the end. Okay, we will get back to this later. But for the first time, I want to fix the salesperson. In the salesperson, the capitalized words, it's a problem. These are not always capitalized. How can I fix it? Capitalize each word in a column. Look at that. df salesperson, so this is the salesperson column, this one. This is how you refer to a column. And we will change it, df salesperson dot string dot title. The title function or method will change the first letters of each word to uppercase. So capitalize each word. Let's see the df. Let's write out the df now. And you can see it's fixed. So the title function fixed the salesperson column. So it capitalized all the salespersons. So there will be no problems here. Either the first word or the second word or the third word is lowercase, then it will be uppercase. So we just fixed it. It was very, very easy. By the way, how can I give the rows and the columns of the data frame? It's also a nice trick. df.shape. Look at that. df.shape. That means the row number and the column number. So 158 rows and 4 columns. You can see 4 columns. So this is just in loading the CSV data into the memory. And in the memory, it can work very, very fast. It can work very fast with the data frame. It can work very fast with the data. Okay, next one. I want to remove the spaces in the customer column. So in the customer column, when you can see these spaces, I want to remove them. There is a strip function. The strip function strips the spaces before and after the text. It's very, very similar than the trim formula in Excel. If you know in Excel the trim formula, but not the same, it will remove the spaces before and after the texts. Okay, the strip formula. Look at the data frame now. Look at the data frame, and just to see the values now, I will use this one again. So the first element here, you can see. So this is the first row of column customer. First row's value. Okay, the first row's value of column customer. Look at that. There are no spaces at the beginning and at the end. So it just stripped all the spaces. Okay, I will show the original one. This was the original one. Extra spaces, extra spaces, extra spaces. So now we just deleted the leading and trailing spaces. But how can I delete these spaces between them? You can easily use the replace formula. The replace formula, and I will show you. str and replace. Just like the str.strip, stripping the spaces, and also str.title, capitalizing each word. So these are the functions. These functions are very, very useful. Okay, what does it mean? Backslash. As I mentioned before, this is a special character. After the backslash, you can type a special something, a special code. Like, for example, S plus. S plus means spaces, but it can be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Because normally, with the replace formula, or for example, the substitute formula in Excel, you would do like replace double space to single space. Okay, so here you can see there are 2 spaces, and here are only 1 space. But what is the problem here? What if there are 4 spaces here? Then if you replace the double spaces to single, then instead of the 4, there will be 2 spaces. So it's not a solution. It's not a solution. So if you use this one, you need to repeat that a few times, and you don't know how many times. So instead of it, we will use this very nice operator, the backslash s plus. That means double space or triple space or 4 spaces or 5 spaces, any number of spaces to 1 space. So this is cool. Let's see how it works. And we are done. Look at that. We are done with the customer. It's now only 1 space. It's now only 1 space between the words, and no spaces here, no spaces here. So that's cool. So in 2 steps, so 1 step was the strip, removing the spaces from the beginning and from the end, and the second one was the replace. And with 2 steps, we just fixed the customer. So the customer is fixed now. The salesperson is fixed now. Let's see the description. The description has a problem. There is a separator, and there are 2 values in the same column, the product and the date. And it's not only a slash, it's a space and a slash and another space. Look at that. So the separator is 3 characters long. Space, slash, space. So how can you do this? In the Excel, you would use the text to columns for this, but in the text to columns, you can use only 1 character, like a hyphen or a slash or a dot or a comma or semicolon, only 1 character. But in the Python, in the Pandas, you can use multiple characters as well, multiple characters. So we will do a split. Look at that. The description columns, string, in the description columns, strings, split them by this separator. And look at that. Between the the apostrophes, there is a space. Look at that. There is a space and the slash and the space. So 3 characters. You can give more characters. So not only 1, just like in Excel. Okay. And expand equals to true. What does that mean? It will expand to separate columns. So separate columns. And how can you give the columns? You use the df square brackets, and inside it, you can put the columns as a list. This is called list in Python. Okay, this is called list. When within square brackets, okay, square brackets, there are elements separated by a comma. Okay, in elements separated by comma within square brackets, this is a list. So this is a column list of the columns. So the new columns should be called product and date. So let's see the data frame now. And look at that. It created from the description column, it just split it to product and date. So it's different, two different columns now. Of course, the description column is remaining, and we can delete it later with another function, with another method. We can delete it later. The date is now a string. It's a text. It's not a date format. You cannot calculate with it. You cannot calculate with it. It's a date format. It's a string. It's a string format. All the columns have different data types, like product and salesperson is a string or text. Revenue is an integer number. And now date is also a string. But we can change it. We can easily change it with separating them again. So another split. And what would be the separator? The dot, okay, the dot or the period. This would be the separator. We will separate it to, what is the sequence now? This is the day, this is the month, and this is the year. So I will split it like this. Date columns, strings, to be splitted by the dot, expand equals to true, that means to separate columns, and this will be the column list. The new column list, day and month and year in this sequence. So let's see what happened now. Wow, look at that. Now this date is separated to the day and month and year. And you can see the runtime, it's very, very fast. Okay, there are not so much data, okay, not so many data, like 158 rows, but this is very, very quick. This is very quick. If you have thousands or 100,000 of rows or millions of rows, it would be in portion or in ratio, it would be very, very quick. It would be much quicker than Excel or, for example, Power Query or any other tools. So it will be much faster. The Python is very fast. Okay, and then if we have these extra columns now, we can merge them together. We can merge them together in the correct order. Okay, how can I merge them together? Look at that. There is a function like aggregation. The aggregation is aggregating the columns. So you can see that this is the column list, year, month, and day. And look at that. I just fixed the order. I fixed the sequence, year, month, and day, just like the ISO standard. The ISO standard of the dates is year, month, and day. And this column list should be merged or aggregated with joining together. The join is the opposite of split. Okay, split is text to columns, to different columns, and join is the opposite. Merge two or three or more columns into one. Okay, and axis equals to 1. What is it? What is the axis? Axis means row or column. Okay, the row axis is the 0 axis. Okay, this is the 0 axis, and the 1 is the column axis of the data frame. Okay, 0 axis is the row axis, and 1 is the column axis. So that means I want to merge the columns together, not the rows. And what should be the end result? The date. So I put these back to the date column. Let's see the data frame now. And now you can see that the date is fixed. Now you can see the date is fixed. Very nice. Okay, so the date is fixed now. So how to proceed? We are almost at the end. Look at that. Let's see the first row value of the date. This is now a date. How can I see the format, the format of the date? Look at that. The format or data type of a column is the D type. So I will refer to the column like df date dot D type. D type means data type. And I will use the print now because it will be printing it much better. It's an object. Okay, this is an object. Object, it's a very odd here because it should say string. Okay, in this case, when you say data type, it means string. I don't know why, but the string data type, so the text data type, is in some places it's called object data type. Okay, I think it's not so easy to understand, but the object data type is the string data type. So this is the string. How can I change it? How can I convert it to date time? Column dot as type, the as type function. I will convert it to, and this is date time 64. That means 64-bit 64-bit storage. So this is called date time. So let's see. I just convert the column's data type to date time, and let's see. And now it's date time. So look at that. This was string, and this is now a date time. Okay, so this is how you convert a column's data type. Superb. And now we will delete some columns. How can I delete columns? How can I delete columns? With the drop, df.drop. And here we should add the column name. The column name, and axis equals to 1. That means it's a column axis. Okay, this is the column axis. So this is how you delete a column. So let's see. I will delete the description column. And now it's not there anymore. Look at that. There is no description here. Okay. How can I delete multiple columns? How can I delete multiple columns if I don't want to do it one by one? Then here you can use a column list. So between the square brackets, separated by commas, you can add more columns as well. Please drop or delete the day and month and year columns as well, because we don't need them anymore, because we have now the perfect date formatted date. So we don't need anymore. These columns we don't need anymore. So I just run it, Control Enter, and it will delete those as well. It will delete those as well. If you use axis equals to 0, then you can delete rows as well. Okay, you can delete rows and so on. So for example, I'll just show you an example. If I want to delete row, then df.drop, and I will put the index or indexes of the row, of the rows, and axis equals to 0. That means delete row. But I don't want to delete any row now. Superb. Okay, also you can filter and filter and delete filtered rows as well. Look at that. df.drop, and then from the product column, if the product column's value equals to 640 fax machine. And there is also a very odd thing for first time, that in the Python language and in other programming languages like JavaScript and some other languages, if you want to compare something, so if you want to compare two elements, that if they are equal, then you should use a double equal sign. You should use a double equal sign. It's also a little bit odd, but you will get used to it. Okay, you will get used to it. Okay, that was very odd in the beginning, but now I use. So if I want to compare, then it's double equal sign. If I just add a value to a variable, if I just assign a value, it's just a single equal sign. Superb. How to rename the columns? You can rename some columns as well. So for example, if you don't like the customer and you want to name it to client, then you can use the rename. df.rename, and the columns here you can give from customer, it should be client. And in place equals to true, that means do it in place, do it in the same column. Okay. And this structure here is called dictionary. Okay, dictionary. If you use curly braces, curly brackets, between the curly brackets, you can have a dictionary that what should be translated to what. Okay, this is dictionary. So list is square brackets, dictionary is curly brackets. Okay, okay, and finally, I just export it. I want to export it. I want to have the output file's name revenues.csv. Okay, revenues.csv. And I want to, so as the input files were in the input folder, I want to put the output file to the output folder. Look at that, the output folder is now empty. Okay, it's now empty, the output folder. So now, how can I export this data frame to a CSV file? This is df or data frame dot to CSV. Can you see these functions are very short, very easy to read, very easy to understand. And where to put the main folder and the output subfolder, and then the output file name. Okay, so this is the path for the output file. In the output subfolder, the output file name. Index is false. That means I don't want to copy the index column to the end result. What would be the separator? A semicolon. So you can choose semicolon as a separator, or comma as a separator, or just any character as a separator. And you should put the encoding type as well. UTF-8 is recommended if you are using accented characters. Okay, so in many languages there are accented characters. So if you want to, don't want the accented characters to be like dummy things, okay, like zigzags, then use the UTF-8. Okay, and the accented characters will remain. Okay, so let's see. Now the output folder is empty. So now I will run this. Control Enter. Okay. Oh, I didn't run this one. I didn't run this cell. Okay, I run it, and I just run again. And now you can see that the output folder, in the output folder, revenue.csv is just appeared in 1 second, within 1 second. So it's like, so it's less than 1 second. Okay, and if I open this, if I do open this CSV, the revenues, then you can see, that the data are cleaned. So the customer is cleaned, the salesperson is cleaned, the product and the date is cleaned. Okay, so this is cool. This is cool. And anytime the source changes, then you just run this. And how can you run all of them? In the SAM menu, run all. In the SAM menu, if you click run all, you can see that it runs within 1 second, the whole thing, the whole program, the whole notebook we just created. Just I show it again. Look at that. Run all, click, and it's less than a second. It's less than a second. And I just save the file with the save button. And I just save the file with the save button. So you can see that you can code. So the Jupyter Notebook is doing or turning the coding to pleasure, because every time you do anything, you will get the output immediately. You will see the output. You will see the result immediately. You can see the results. You can see the texts. You can see the tables. You can see the row numbers, column numbers, and so on. So it's a very, very nice. Of course, you don't need to write it out. So in the end, you can delete these. You can delete these when you write out something. And if you delete these lines, it will make the code even faster, because it doesn't take time to show the data. Okay, so you can see that it's a very relatively easy and short code. You can do lots of things, and it's just 2 clicks again. So it's automatized to 2 clicks. So I hope I could convince everyone that Python and Pandas is a very powerful tool.
I hope indeed. Yeah, it was a really great presentation. Now we have like 10 minutes left remaining to answer the questions. So anyone who is still here, thank you very much. We have many of you with us. So please write your questions, and I hope we're gonna we can answer them. Meanwhile, we got some. One was okay that you already answered. What is the better tool? You told that
Unfortunately, I don't know
you
the
haven't
spider.
used Spider. Okay, so Andros asked if the connection was lost. I was here and I didn't experience such thing. We have another question. Are we not able to download it, the file? I think Gabor means if was there anything in the process where you could download something, or
I don't know. This is this file, the source one the CSV that I showed in the beginning. This is the downloadable file for our Python Pandas course in Cubics.
oh, I see. Yeah, so the sample one was that. Okay, so
yes.
okay,
So
so yeah, what? Yeah, the demo file, what you used, I think, for the presentation. Yeah, he was meaning that. Okay, so yes, this is one of the example files which Subwash uses in the Python Pandas course, where yeah, I don't know, we didn't even mention it in the beginning. So actually, yes, we have a Python Pandas course coming soon in some weeks, which is a 4-week long course, online course mentored by Subwatch, and there you will learn the basics of Python language and the library, Pandas library, which you just witnessed what can it do. But soon I think we could speak a little bit about the course, but we have some questions still. So Gabor is asking if he could replay it. Yes, this video could be rewatched on our channels, on our Cubics and Cubics Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube channels. So if you don't want to miss it, then you could subscribe and you're gonna find it there. Okay, just no questions, but thank you. Okay, we have a question from Joel. What do you think? Which language better for import Excel to database and work with it, Java or Python?
I don't use Java. I don't use Java, so it will be an easy answer. I love Python, and I just had an experience with Java in the beginning, but Java's syntax, and I don't want to hurt anyone, but the Java's syntax is a little bit more complex. Okay, it's a more higher complexity language. So if somebody wants to start the first programming language, I don't really recommend Java, because Java is much more complicated, much more complex. Python is really created for starters. Okay, so if you want to start programming, Python is the perfect choice. Or Visual Basic if you are doing in Excel, but Python or Visual Basic is the good choice. Java is a little bit harder, more difficult.
And what would you say? How long does it take to acquire the basic knowledge of Python programming to use pandas, or to be able to do data analysis or transformation things? Not the way you would use it to software development.
In our course, so if somebody enrolls to our Cubics course, you will see that a few hours of Python knowledge is enough for understanding the pandas, and like 3 or 4 weeks programming and practicing and creating these data analysis and data transformation, data cleaning. 3 or 4 weeks is enough to learn the basics. Okay, by net time, it's like 8 to 10 hours. Okay, 8 to 10 hours, or maybe 15 hours. But everybody, so it's different based on your speed. Okay, or you are doing the course besides work or not. So it depends.
Yeah, and of course, if someone has some previous programming experience in other technologies, but
yes, if it's an advantage if you have experience with Visual Basic, for example, or JavaScript or Java or other programming languages. So if you have a programming background, then it will be much easier for you to understand the Python. But for starters, it's perfect, because it's very easy. It's you cannot spoil it. It's foolproof almost.
okay. So we have 3 more minutes. So if you have questions, then please drop them in the comment section. And until then, some words about this course. What we just mentioned. It's a 4-week long course. Then the first week is about the Python language to learn the basics, and after that you jump into the Pandas library. What is the end of the course? Like, what kind of projects could you succeed complete if you learn these? What you can learn in the course?
Yes, in the course you will be able to transpose and transform and clean texts, for example, dates, numbers, convert the numbers, convert the dates. Also using efficiency techniques, so very nice shortcut keys. There are lots of good shortcut keys in the Jupyter Notebook. Also creating custom functions. Okay, so you can create your own functions. You can create a function like Jack Bauer. Okay, so the function name can be Jack Bauer, or as you want. You can give your own name for your function. So it's very nice. And also you will learn how to use the if, if something happens, then else, and so on and so on. So the if conditionals, also the loops. So there are the for loops and the while loops, how to loop through data, how to loop through files, how to loop through rows and columns. And also what I mentioned in the demo, you will learn the lists and also the dictionaries, which are very good tools. Lists and dictionaries. If you are coming from JavaScript or other languages, it's like the arrays and objects, like the arrays and objects. So the lists and dictionaries is kind of these. So it's a very good overview of Python and Pandas.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to drop the link of the course below, so if anyone is interested, then you could read about the details. We have a question. In the field of data analysis, which is better, Visual Basic or Python?
Yeah, yeah. Visual Basic VBA is very limited because if you, for example, if your data are in Excel and it's on an Excel sheet, you can work with it with VBA. But if there are millions of rows, then you cannot use the Excel. Okay, you cannot put these onto the Excel sheet. You should use CSV. And of course, VBA can import CSV files as well, but Python will do it faster. So Python will do it faster than VBA, faster, and many times VBA is just frozen, gets frozen, or slows down, and you are waiting, for the send clock, okay, for the spinner. But Python will be much faster.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Because if not, then I'm gonna let Szabolcs go and rest a little bit after this quite intense presentation. Then, if not, then thank you very much, Szabolcs, for being here and showing us this project, and hope you enjoyed it. And if you are curious about our next webinars, which is going to be about JavaScript, Java Spring Boot, machine learning operations, MLOps, and probably I think we're going to have some about Android development. Then don't forget to subscribe and keep updated about this new broadcasts. And if you would like to know more about the Python Pandas course, I'm going to leave the link below, and you can see the details. If you have questions, just write us via Facebook, LinkedIn, or the info at cubixedu.com address will be answered in, I think, in 24 hours. So thank you for being here with us, and thank you, Szabolcs, again.
Thank you.
And hope
Thank
to see
you, everyone.
next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.